Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic. Sunday today, and we're on Classic Sudoku. This puzzle has come in from Sanjay, and Sanjay says it has a nasty step at the start. I don't know what the step is, but we're going to try and find it and see how we go. Now, did I have anything to say? Yeah, just to let you know, the Classic Sudoku app, well on the way for those of you interested in that. It should be out this week on all formats, so Android, iPhone, and on Steam. So do look out for that. It's going to be the same sort of thing as our Sandwich Sudoku app, so 40 puzzles at the start, and then another 60 puzzles sort of dripped out over the year with 5 per month. And as I say, we're pretty proud of it. It has it's got our star system as well, so in order to access the later puzzles, you will have to solve the earlier ones correctly. Now, let's take a look at this puzzle. If you want to try yourselves, just click on the link under the video. That'll take you to our software and you can have a go. Now, let's sevens into one of those two squares. Same over there because of these sevens. Can't do anything with ones, I don't think. Twos can be locked into one of those squares. Threes into one of those two positions. Fours into one of those positions. There's a 3-4 pair we've just discovered right at the start. Now, can we do anything with that? So now ones are locked into these two squares. There's only 1 8 in the grid, so that's not terribly useful. Nines, let's just pencil those nines in. What am I meant to do down here? So there's no fives in the grid. No, I don't think we can use this pair. Bobbins. Right, let's look again. Everything in this puzzle is offset. There's nothing. The sixes that are all offset as well. So the ones are offset. The two. When I say offset, what do I mean by that? I mean that they don't share. You know, a set of 3 rows or 3 columns. They are fully offset. I mean, maybe this puzzle would suit the slot machine technique, which I'm not going to use, but this sort of arrangement is what I remember Derek Neal saying often is the starting point. I'm trying to remember what that tended to lead to, if it in terms of logical techniques. It was some sort of horrible X cycle that it helped you spot, or a finned swordfish. I can't do anything here. This is this is going to be an embarrassing video. I have a bit of deja vu here. I tried to solve. Actually, it wasn't really my fault, but I tried to solve a video that had come in from somebody called John recently, because I thought it had looked like an interesting pattern, and I spent about half an hour on a video getting virtually nowhere, gave up, plugged it into a solver and was told that there was no solution. So thanks very much for that, John. That was a half an hour of my life I'll never get back. I'm hoping this is not the same thing. What am I meant to do with this? Apologies if you guys are seeing it. I know it's very frustrating, because I find it frustrating when I watch my own videos back and I think, why aren't you spotting that what's absolutely in front of you. Now, well, the 1s and the 2s always share rows. So we've got 3 1s and 2s, they're always in the same rows. So, is that meant to be telling me something? Right. Okay, well, it does tell me something. Ooh, right, okay, let's look at this. This is very nasty. So, if we look at where the 1s and the 2s can go in column 2 here, they can go here, here, and here. That's the only options for the 1s and the 2s. Now, in fact, because of this funny arrangement here, the same thing happens in column 4 here and column 7. So where can the 1s and the 2s go? I'm going to have to highlight this in colour to actually show you. These positions are the only valid positions in each of these columns for the numbers 1 and 2. Now this is a swordfish pattern. Now, what does a swordfish pattern mean when we've managed to lock a digit into the same 3 rows in 3 different columns like this? Now we're going to have to, I don't want to sort of mix up the numbers, so I'm just going to talk about 1s here first. What this means is that there cannot be any 1s in any of these squares. And you may say, well, how on earth is that the case? Well, the reason is the best way of illustrating this is to hypothesize. We know the 1 is in one of these 3 squares. Let's just pick one. Let's imagine we pick this one. If we looked at the finished solution and there was a 1 here, then we know neither of these squares will be a 1. So I can eliminate those 2 squares. Now, and you can see, hopefully, if you then study these positions, this is a classic X-wing pattern now. The swordfish is the 3rd dimension of the X-wing. So if we looked at the solution, the finished solution, and there was a 1 here, then where would the 1 go in column 7? It would have to be here. Now, if on the other hand the 1 was not here, but it was here, then the 1 in column 7 would have to be here. So what I'm trying to give you the impression of is that the 1s, we can position the 1s in these 3 positions here. In fact, this one, it would never be a 1 because of the 1 here. But I was also looking at 2s when I identified these overlapping swordfishes. But basically, as the 1s are in a subset of these 3 squares or 3 cells in column 2, then they must be in one of those 3 positions here, one of these 3 positions here. That's 3 possible positions, and we know we need 1s in each of these 3 columns. So they're going to have to occupy sort of a permutation of these 3 cells each time. Now that means that there will be exactly 1 1 in these 3 positions, exactly 1 1 in these 3 positions, and exactly 1 1 in these 3 positions, which is why I say we can get rid of the 1s in all of these squares. I'm going to make those yellow. I'm going to delete these 1s because I don't know obviously yet where the 1s go. And I'm going to have to stare at this again now. What does this mean? Okay, well, right, got something. There's a 1 2 here and a 1 2 here. So in this box, where can the numbers 1 and 2 go? They can't go in these 3 cells. They can't go in these 3 cells. And we can't have a 1 or a 2 here because of the swordfish. So these squares form a 1 2 pair. Now is that going to be the key to break this? So now No. Ah! I don't think it is. That doesn't. No, it doesn't. I don't think that helps us. So these. Good grief. Right, this is really not straightforward. I'm sorry about this. I'm going to have to stare at this a bit longer. What am I missing here? Okay. Oh, there's this is very, very unusual. It's the same columns again. This was me being a bit slow here. Apologies. I think I should have realised this a bit more quickly. But we need to look at another digit that's relevant for these three columns and see there is another digit that is restricted to exactly well, a subset of rows. It's not the same rows this time, but let's look at sevens. Now sevens can only go in these top three positions here because of this 7 ruling out a 7 here and this 7 ruling out a 7 here and here, these two squares. But look, if we look down here, we've got, it's because of this 3, 6, 4, this sort of grid arrangement here. It has this weird restriction around the grid that keeps applying. So the 7s here and the 7s here lock the 7s into these 3 squares here as well. Let me colour this differently. Let's use green. And then looking at this column, this 7 rules out that square, and the 7s we've pencil marked up here rule out these 2 squares. So again, these 3 squares also are the only position 7s go. So there is now a third swordfish. So there's a swordfish on 1s, a swordfish on 2s, and a swordfish on 7s in the same 3 columns of the grid. Right. Wow. Okay. So now there's all sorts of things that are interesting going on. Oh, this is a stunning pattern. I wonder if you guys can see what I'm seeing here. This is absolutely stunning. So the first thing I'm looking at actually is these squares, because we know that these squares that I've just highlighted are influenced by 3 different swordfishes. Swordfishes on 1s, 2s and 7s. So we know these highlighted squares cannot contain the digits 1, 2 and 7. Therefore, these squares here must be in their rows the numbers 1, 2 and 7, because we know these squares are not 1, 2 and 7. So there must be a 1, 2, 7 triple in each of those positions. Now, let's look at this column now. We've now got a 1, 2, 7 triple in the column. So the open squares here, this square, and this square, must be 5, 8 and 9 in some order. That one can't be 9. That one can't. I'm going to start deleting just in case there's a hidden single somewhere. Let's start deleting. Let's see, this one can't be a 7. That one can't be a 2. Okay, so that's, well, that was the first thing I noticed, but the other thing I was wondering about is if we now, so now as there's no 7 in these squares either because of the swordfish on the 7s. Now look, if we look carefully at this, we've got 1, 2 in this row. So this square, actually maybe I need to look at a different. Yes, look at column 9. Where can the numbers 1, 2 and 7 go in column 9? They can't go here because of the swordfish on the 7s and the 1 and the 2 we already have. We know they can't go in either of these two positions because of the swordfish, so we cannot place 1, 2 and 7 in any of those squares. Let's make those a different colour. Now, they can't go here because of this 1, 2 and 7, and they can't go here. Yes, that's it, isn't it? So now we've managed to eliminate 1, 2 and 7 from 5 different positions in column 9, and the 6th position is a given 8. Therefore, these squares are the numbers 1, 2 and 7. How awesome is that? Wow! I am very pleased with spotting that. I have to say that's about as good a spot as I've ever done on the channel, I think. It's taken me an inordinate amount of time, but at least I got there. Right, 1, 2, 7. So now, well, actually this square is fascinating, isn't it? Because I've actually pencil marked a 9 into this square from these 9s. So there is no way this square can be a 9. This square has to be a 1, 2, 7, therefore this is a 9. So that's not a 9. And now there's a 5, 8 pair in this column. So the interaction of the swordfishes happens in, wow, so this square must be a 9. It's the only place a 9 can go in the column. Now there must be a 9 in one of those squares. Surely there cannot be more to this. This is, yeah, this square is restricted now because we've got 4, 3. So what can this square be? This square can only be a 5 or an 8 because there's a 3, 4, 6 in the column. 1, 2, 7, 9 there. Yeah, so that's a 5 or an 8, which matches that square. So the rest, these 3 squares in this row must be 3, 4 and 6. So that's 3, 4, 6. That's a 4. There's a 4, 6 in the column. 4. So therefore that's a 3. That's a 4. That must be a 6. Oh yes, I think we've broken into it. Now this 3 and this 3 force a 3 here and a 3 here. Therefore there's a 3 there. Oh, no, not there. I didn't mean to put that there. That into that square must be a 3. Therefore this square is a 3. And I think now we've suddenly done all the 3s with that. So 4s, what can we do with 4s? So there must be a 4 in one of those 2 squares. Therefore, this square must be a 4 now. It must be a 4 in one of these two squares. One, 2, 3, 4. So this is 5, 8, 9 into these open positions. So this is a 5 or a 9. This is a 5, 8 or 9. Now, there's so many colours going on in this grid now that it's getting a little clustered. So these open positions here in column 9 must be 4, 5 and 6 in some order. Now that one can't be a 6 because of the 6 up here. So now this is good now, because now there's a 6 in one of these two squares, and that means the 6 down here is in one of these two squares, and that means that's a 6 there. I could have got that before, I'm just noticing it now, but I hope you'll forgive me. There is quite a lot going on here. Now this must be a 6 in fact. That must be, yeah, 6 is also unwinding now. That's a 6, therefore that's a 6. Now in placing this 6, I took the position of a 9, so this is a 9. This is the only place a 9 can go now up here. Again, 9 is ruled out from this square because of the swordfish interaction that we found, so that's a 9 now. Therefore this must be a 5, 8, 9. Oh, this is so exciting. Have I actually cracked this puzzle? Now, 5s, this must be the 5, therefore that's a 7 and that's a 2. That's the first. Now this square is a 9, therefore that's a 1, and this is not a 4. That was about to be horrible. That's an 8. If I've broken this, I'm going to be distraught. That's a 5. This must be a 1. Therefore 7, 2, unwinding the swordfish. This is a 1, 7, 2. This must be a 7, because we know that this was a swordfish on 7s. This square ought to be fillable now. Looks like it's an 8. These two squares must be 2 and 4 in some order, which we can fix. Therefore that square must be a 5. Therefore that's a 4 and that's a 5. That's got to be a 4. I think it looks like it's working. That must be a 5 up there. Goodness me, right, this can't be a 7, this has got to be a 1 or a 2, that means it's a 1. That should be a 2 at the top now. This must be an 8, this is a 5 therefore. These squares have got to be 1 and 8. And this square must be a 7, yeah, that's still working. That's an 8, that's an 8, that's a 4. I'm going really slowly here because I'm desperate. Just make sure that this is working correctly. 5, 7 looks good, doesn't it? What a puzzle. Let's check. Oh, I did it. Right, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and put this into a solver now. I'm going to pause the video. I want to know whether this was what I was meant to do. 1 second. Okay, so here it is. I've put it in. Now, what can we do? Let's click grader. Whoa, 1,193. I think that makes it difficult. Let's just see what we were meant to spot. So let's go. Oh, we got the 3, 4 at the start. And the swordfish. Oh, that's a different. Oh, okay. Right, so they've looked at swordfishes in the rows here. which is the same overall effect, I think. It's bizarre the way that works. Okay. Yeah, another swordfish. This again, it's looked at it the other way round, so it's looked at the rows. Okay, fine. Whoa. Yeah, the 1-2 pair. I got this one. I didn't get these other ones. What's this? Another swordfish. This time on 3s. I didn't find this one. Okay. Another swordfish on 6s, which I didn't find. I'm not sure. Okay. Some triple I didn't find. More pairs I didn't find. And this is the swordfish on 7s represented in the rows again. So we did find this one. Now it's getting 3s and 6s over here. I think that's because of the restriction in column 9 that I found in a slightly different way. You can see it hasn't got this triple in column 4 yet. So it hasn't appreciated that these two squares must be 1, 2 or 7. Isn't that interesting? It doesn't understand that, or it doesn't appreciate that it still hasn't got that. Now it's got a triple across the middle row. Again, we didn't need that. Now it's fine. Well, it's doing it a different way, and now it should spot it, I think. No. Okay, it doesn't need it. Okay, so it did it a different way, but there were some similarities, but not a great many. So what an amazing puzzle. Another long video today, but this time, yesterday I felt my brain just wasn't working properly on the irregular frame Sudoku, and that felt a bit ponderous. Today I think I did spot something clever, and I'm going to be very interested to know from the comments whether you guys sailed through this one. A very interesting pattern indeed. Sanjay, thank you for that. Thank you for not trolling me, unlike John the other day. And we'll be back soon with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.